Thank you very much. I also welcome my colleague Andrej, who chose to sit in the public for the beginning to laugh at my presentation. It's kind of funny to present one AI factory after another. We have discussed the concept of AI factories quite a lot. We like to underline in this context that in Slovenia we have quite a strong AI community. Not just strong, but quite long-lived. We actually started with AI already in the 70s. Specifically at the Jožef Stefan Institute, that's why I'm pushing this idea always forward. We had collaboration with the United Kingdom and started working in a couple of research projects and initiatives, and that blossomed in a number of teaching and research groups, first at the institute and then at the university. And it's important to understand that when the initial boom of AI diminished and funding was cut in many countries, Slovenia was a bit of an exception. We kept the activity going. We had machine learning, knowledge systems, collaborations with industrial partners. So it was quite a vivid going on, and we never stopped. So with the new AI boom, Slovenia was in a very healthy position with quite strong communities at the University of Ljubljana, the Institute, University of Maribor, and quite a lot of activities already in the commercial sector. At the same time, we have quite a well-positioned HPC community. We started with supercomputing, the National Supercomputer Center at the location where I now work in the 90s. We replaced the first big machines with proper supercomputers, convex systems, and then started building specialized clusters in research departments, both in Ljubljana and at the University of Maribor. And that gradually, at the beginning of this century, started to go in the direction of distributed computing. I have to wave over there to our Croatian colleagues. We started collaborating already, we were just discussing in 2003 or 2004, so more than 20 years ago in this area. And then this expanded with PRAISE, proper HPC computing, all these activities that created the consortium SLING. And this became the home for the National Competence Center, but it is still linked to the activities that were connected before. The most important of them would be a worldwide Large Hadron Collider computing group and support for other big international projects. So we were working in this direction also, and when we designed the Vega supercomputer, we already knew that about 20% at least of the job load would be AI or machine learning related. And that meant that these two communities were already collaborating 10 years ago and learned how to collaborate. Some of our AI groups had their own HPC-like machines. So this is quite a nice point of departure. So we like to underline, of course, that we were quite lucky, and well, a lot of work was put in, but the result was quite lucky. So Vega was the very first EuroHPC machine procured and put in practice. I've just learned that we have to say that we've also succeeded in the first cut for the AI factories, because we, as said before, also participate in the Italian proposal. But it was important for us because Vega is already designed to support AI loads. It has a data pool, quite good outside connectivity, very good support for this kind of load. And at the beginning, we also put a lot of effort with our colleagues at ISUM, who is the hosting entity, and we have colleagues in the back from ISUM, to put up very good support. At the time, it was the first machine that actually opened a lot of doors and collaborations for projects, so that worked quite well for us. But we also worked with the broader infrastructure. In Slovenia, the most important ones are Clarin and Elixir, so language infrastructure and life sciences. So we have a lot of good experience working with data and workflows in those areas. But we decided when we started to build the consortium and discuss the concept to really concentrate in one of the areas that is not very well supported in the AI Factory ecosystem, and that is AI for science. So there's two reasons. One of those reasons is that AI in Slovenia is quite well positioned in the research community, and we already started with a number of activities where AI is used and promoted as a tool for other sciences. But this goes the other way around also. As you know, in those sciences where we have very good sources of sensor or other observation data, or we have very good models that can produce synthetic data, we can create data that can then be used to construct models or other machine learning approaches. So combination of AI and other sciences is actually very, very fruitful. And this work has been put up not just in the factory, but also in the activities of AI for science in a number of projects, including one of our big national infrastructure projects. So our consortium is built a little bit like that. We have all the big universities on the third level and the University of Ljubljana on the first level. And we have the infrastructure institutes, Arnes and IZUM. Arnes is also our NREN and the host of this event. So the Jožef Stefan Institute, Arnes and IZUM are responsible for the procurement and management of the machine. University of Ljubljana is also more engaged in the basic software and management of the infrastructure. We use all the universities and the institute as the source of our experts and expertise that we use also in collaboration with the commercial community. But for the commercial community initiatives, startup connection, we rely on our Chamber of Commerce and the Technological Park of Ljubljana. So this would be a small image of the core idea. So we have the core AI platform, the workflow and data orchestration infrastructure running on that, and the user-centric AI services that are more like the interactive parts that are supposed to help you with things like Jupyter notebooks, data management, data spaces, and things like that. Then we have the vector and sectorial application packages, so the ones that actually work with the vector, the vertical services, and the skills and training section, where we, in the proposal, we wanted to rely on the existing NCC activities. We are quite happy, especially for the training and skills with how the NCC worked and how it very well interacted with the communities in Slovenia and the other NCC communities. So we planned to connect the AI Factory with the NCC and work together. So this is going to be directly exported from it. So this would be like the practical data for the project. So our factory is slightly less than 12 million for the actual activity. Of course, the same funding models, and with this funding size, we are funding approximately 45 full-time equivalents. So these are kind of our points of reference that I think I covered pretty much with this initial overview. We are perhaps not underlining enough that it's very important to work within the EuroHPC ecosystem, to rely also on the other factories, their expertise and their verticals. But we very much want to continue supporting not just AI for science, but also the academic and the research part, and of course the public sector. So while we are trying to build a one-stop shop, we don't want to have just one kind of customers. We want to combine those customers. We often view our commercial customers as the ones that are providing the tools that are more the ones that are more technically capable. So we see combinations such as a public sector and the company that combines their initiative with expertise in the factory and infrastructure to then provide a commercially supported service to the public sector. These kind of models we find quite important, but we also started working with incubators and regional interest groups. So I think this image you've seen multiple times, so we don't have to rely on it too much. I will just mention the ecosystem. There is a number of additional activities. The most interesting to mention maybe is the National AI Competence Center. That is kind of a parallel activity that is being expanded and will provide this support on the national level. So this is not part of the factory. And then on the level of internal activities, RASUM, Machine Learning Infrastructure for Science. This is the activity in the Jožef Stefan Institute that gave birth to this impetus of AI for Science support, and a number of projects. Among those, probably Povejmo, the project of building a new generation of Slovenian large language model and related tools and activities is the most important to be mentioned. This is governed by the Faculty of Computer Information Science at the University of Ljubljana, and it's kind of related with two large projects that are working on digital humanities and AI infrastructures and AI for science, and it's also combined with the ERA chair for digital humanities. So for the access models, I don't know when you were planning to take over, probably in the next slide when we go in the technical view. For the access models, I think we already understand the EuroHPC model and approach. What we're doing currently is we have Vega in the playground access. So this is something that we can offer directly. And we have added AI-based access to the Vega and the other Sling systems. Otherwise, of course, both academic and research communities and industrial research can go through the national access approach. And we use the National Competence Center for the support. So I will ask my colleague to continue to explain how the machine is going to work.
Okay, so just to explain the broader vision. So this is how we envisage to use our system, which is, in fact, it's quite complicated. Here is slightly simplified. But we have several systems. So, of course, one part is the central AI HPC, so specialized supercomputer for artificial intelligence, and our AI Factory project. But attached to that, we have the current HPC, so the Vega. We have really powerful HPC at Arnes, which has even more modern GPUs, more useful for some cases than Vega. We still have significant infrastructure at Jožef Stefan Institute, and there are several other clusters of computing centers, smaller or larger, that have some infrastructure, either storage or CPUs or GPUs or whatever. And we actually have quite efficient data lake. I might explain it slightly later, but we have several self-based, mostly self-based storage infrastructures that we integrate into a single large storage, in a sense that it's transparent for users to access the storage. He doesn't even need to know where the data physically is, right? So this is taken care by the operator or administrator. So this is our vision for the storage in Slovenia. And on the right, at the left side, we have all the other European infrastructure. So here I'd like to stress IT Italia, let's say the Italian factory, where we have the participation in procurement, as well as Austria has the same thing. And we plan really intensive collaboration to that, and we are discussing quite a lot how to approach it. And we'll try to establish a really good regional model for using of all these regional resources. So there are many things. Maybe I'll skip this slide because it's a bit too draft, but let's say the bottom figure shows the number of users using Vega all the time. It's rising linearly, but those are, I think they are mostly HPC users, not so much AI, but AI is really getting boost in the last couple of, in the last year, let's say. If I try to say a few things about current Vega supercomputer, where we already had quite significant, let's say, ambitions how to use it. We wanted to be a general purpose, so for all users, not only HPC users, for actually all the users that need either compute power, GPU power, or storage. So they don't need to be HPC applications themselves, because there was no other large infrastructure in Slovenia, in the country. So that's why we also designed extreme data processing infrastructure. I can show you a few figures. I will show you a few figures at the end. What does it mean? And from the beginning, we foresaw the artificial intelligence machine learning usage, although this was not really used at a scale. We absolutely wanted to have the compute node connectivity to external network, which most of the centers are avoiding. But in our case, it turned out to be one of the great achievements, and it's done securely. We want to build up hyper-converged network, why I will also show you later. We wanted to have the remote access for job submission and data management, which is typically forbidden everywhere, and good scalability for massively parallel jobs and faster for large number of small jobs. So actually, with this, the later concept, we had so many jobs that we turned out the Slurm maximum number of jobs already once a year ago, something like that. So, so we need a new data center because Vega was squeezed in a relatively small space that was available 5 years ago. So we are building a new building which is close to the hydropower plant in Maribor. So the construction started in May this year, and it's actually not on plan because this is the recent figure. So the building is almost completed, and it seems that everything will be ready to start putting the infrastructure in. So first, of course, the supporting infrastructure like power and cooling in half a year from now, roughly, or maybe slightly later. We'll see. There's still tendering process to go on for the supporting infrastructure. So this is our timeline, which is now completely wrong because we said that we will start the tendering procedure in the first quarter of this year. We didn't. We started writing the documents, but they are not completed yet. So likely, what's important, we still plan to have the production in 27, but not the quarter one. We will be lucky if it's still the end of the year. So, and we want to speed it up because this is also a time when Vega will stop running, and we don't want to have a hole in production. So we have this continuing shifts from one machine to the other. Our architecture will be quite hybrid in a sense that we want to support HPC and cloud at the same time. So like on the bottom figure, with several services that use both, so services like Kubernetes and Slurm. We still have to see how exactly we want to glue this together, but we want to use Slurm resource allocation for good utilization and Kubernetes for commodity and for interactive work. So this is still work in the progress, and in fact we are re-engineering, or let's say redeploying part of Vega infrastructure, the service part, to suit to this, so that we have a prototype for the new machine. Actually, not only prototype, if that works well, we also offer the infrastructure to the users on the Vega system as well. We want to make it really flexible. For example, I just wanted to put this figure out. So this figure actually represents an achievement of another project, which is called Intertwin. So it was a European project that just ended a month or 2 months ago. And it successfully did several prototypes how to execute, how to make digital twins of several things. So I will not even list them because there are something like 20 or 30 different things, including weather forecasting, for example, right? So ECMWF project. An interesting thing here was that it uses, for example, interlink software that is used on an HPC site that links the HPC infrastructure to the outside world. So at the end, we build a prototype where a user made a login in Milano, and then it executed. Then it launched a control plane for Kubernetes in Bologna, and the Kubernetes pods were launched on Vega, and data was moved transparently. So this showed the flexibility of the software, and it might ease our use cases in the future, right? Here is one figure which is already used by some large experiments, for example, for Atlas, where it shows the complex connectivity. So on the left side, you have external management things, so external tools to manage the your workflows or do your scenarios, and you have external storage. In the middle, you have the services that glue the HPC or the AI supercomputer to the external world, and inside infrastructure. And with this, you can actually do extremely complex things. For example, I just took this screenshot this morning and shows the traffic between this is so-called Nordic data lake, but it's Nordic because it spans the Scandinavian countries plus Slovenia and Switzerland. So it's a uniform storage, the same kind of storage that we want to set up for all Slovenian data centers as well. And the impressive thing is the traffic. So you can see there the traffic this morning was 30 gigabytes per second for several hours, which basically corresponds to transferring data from CERN experiments, so Large Hadron Collider data, to mostly Slovenia. So Slovenia, there is colored yellow and light green, so half of the traffic went there. Just so, you can see the current snapshot, the figures already, so 10 gigabytes per second. That's why where we need really hyperconnectivity, right? Hyperconnectivity. So 1.2 terabits per second is not even that large for such use cases. And okay, just to finish up, so this is our common contact point. So if anybody wants to have anything to do with HPC or AI Factory or any other use cases, so these are the addresses that one needs. So a central web address and central, so these are aliases. Everything will come to the same people. And since we use this quite efficiently for Vega, we use it for the factory itself as well. I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrej Filipčič and Jona Javoršek. Any questions for them? Just raise your hands. I know we're quite tired after this full day, but there's a question from the okay, we will start in Croatia then. Okay, Andreas Lindner from Austria.
For you as SLAIF, how simple is it to get customers or partners onto Vega? Can you bypass the EuroHPC calls?
It's not an easy question. This is rather complicated because the rules for Vega are still in action for industry. Let's say for researchers and academy can use the National Path of Resources as it is. They have open access. But SMEs are slightly more complicated because in principle they had to pay unless they just want to test or prototype something on relatively small scale, right? Yeah. But in the new supercomputer, it will be different.
Step on the stage so that you're also on the camera and visible for all those that are.
So to summarize, Vega was in the first call for petascale machines, where 33% was funded by EuroHPC. That means that we have more than half on our national funding, and this we can manage on our own, but it is still based on how it was funded. So for the free access for SMEs on the national call, it's either for development but not commercial production, so that's quite limited in scope, or very small for SMEs. The rest is either paying, or we have the issue of where we are limited to 20%, or we have the issue of governmental support to industrial efforts.
Is that defined, the limitations for development, the number of core hours, or is that up to
the limit is 20% by law, something like that. Right?
No, the 20% is the limit of how much we can commercially exploit. So this we defined in a very complicated internal discussion that took how much? 3 years? 2.5. So yeah, this is the decision was that the consortium, the national consortium, and the funding agency set down the rules, and when both agree, it's okay. So that means that the consortium had to define the rules, that would be agreeable for the funding agency.
Yeah. We're sitting in the same boat.
Sorry?
We're sitting in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now the microphone travels to the Mr. Ima Magic from the Croatia. You also raised your hand for a question.
Sorry, I have like a bunch of them, but I'll keep it short and we'll continue later. So right now on Vega, you already support Kubernetes aside from Slurm on the resource.
We're not
Or
really
is this
support, we're
in the plan?
experimenting with it yet, so it's not officially supported. But we had use cases that used Slurm jobs, and they launched Kubernetes spots inside.
Okay, so it's Kubernetes is on top of Slurm. They're not on the side. It's like you don't split
Yeah.
half. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
But we're working on an experimental setup that will be side by side.
Yeah.
And then I think all the combinations are possible in theory.
Okay. We'll continue with the questions for the Slovenian AI Factory later, but now we have the last presenter online.